I hung on to that hairdryer. Not only did I get hot in there, but till my brain quit sending signals to my arms and telling me to hang on. And, I went to tell them, and they did. They made the best effort they could to get the door open.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Hey Now My Podcast. I'm Philip.
I'm Shane.
I'm Daryl.
I'm Scotty.
Today's all about close calls in several arenas, and I think it'll help you. You'll learn some things, probably some new things, maybe some things that you've never, ever would have thought about. So it's pretty exciting. And you'll recognize Daryl. Daryl's been with us before, and that's been
A few episodes.
Almost 20 episodes ago, something like that. I think it right at it. And then Scotty's a new guy. First time on the show. So Scotty, welcome to the show.
New guest, old friend.
Yeah.
New guest, old friend. I like that. But y'all just sit back and get ready. Some crazy tales today.
All right, Daryl, you gonna start us off?
Okay, we're gonna start off. This is the first miracle I ever witnessed, and I do believe in miracles. But McCoy was a hardworking individual, and it's very consistent. And he had a drinking problem on the weekends. When he got his paycheck, Monday he was probably going to be broke. But Daddy always told Coy, he said, if you're drunk when I pick you up Monday morning, you're not going.
You ain't going to work.
So apparently he didn't make the cut at this particular day. And I think they was working off in Bamanette, cutting right away down there. And so Swan's store was directly in front of the house. You know, the Swans run the little Sugar Creek grocery there. And they give me a call. I guess it was about 7:30. And they said, is your daddy there? I said, no, he's gone, you know, in a little boy's voice. And she said, well, can you call somebody? I said, Coy is down here sitting on the front porch of the store. And he's drunk. He just kind of slumped over. And it's not good for customers. And so I tried to call around and get somebody to come there and help get him out of the way. And I wasn't successful. So I said, I'll go do it myself. So here he is sitting on the front of the store. And if I'm sure you remember the picture, there was gas pumps up on a concrete pad. So I sat on that concrete pad straight across from him, and he's all leaned over. You know, he's
had a long night.
Yeah, he picked that bottle back up Sunday night. So this was tremendously funny. I think I was probably 7 years old. But it was real funny to me because there he was set, but his straddle was tore out of his pants.
Oh,
and he didn't have no loom. And I don't know why that's funny to a 7-year-old kid, but that was pretty funny to me. And I was trying to get past that part. But I commenced to talking to him about, you know, he needed to go on. So I remember before Daddy left out, he said, and you probably knew this guy, he told us, you know, I used to tell people when you'd pull out on 160, when I was a kid, you didn't have to look because there wasn't nobody coming because you only seen 5 or 6 cars a day. But Daddy specifically told us kids, you know, it was 4 of us. He said, look, boys, careful when you get around that road. Wayne Holt has got a 55 Chevrolet, and he's just wild as an Indian coming through here. And so I remembered that. So this is part of the miracle story. So I was sitting there trying to talk, and by that time, I hear Wayne coming. He had the ears bent back on that thing. So he comes off of that hill around that curve, and he was running, I don't know how fast, but really fast. And one of the hubcaps popped off of that car.
Me.
And this is the miracle. I thought, wow. And that car went down toward the garage. And that hubcap just followed him.
Trailing behind him.
I thought, look, he go there's a hubcap. And by that time, it made a little curve. And here it come back. It come right back in between me and Coy and went, wow, 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 wow. And it just stopped. And that's the first movement I really seen. He reached down and picked up that hubcap. And he looked at it. He said, 49 Packard. I remember Daddy said this. I said, no, Coy, that was a 55 Chevrolet. He said, that's why it came off. So he wasn't going to be wrong, but to see that hubcap just follow that car and that side is going to come back between us, I thought, well, this is a miracle that this done it. So anyway, end of that story.
49 Packard.
49 Packard. I didn't even know what a 49 Packard was, but I knew he said it was a 55 Chevrolet, so I corrected.
You just want to make one little correction, Coy.
Yeah, that's right.
Daryl's talking about working, and you were talking about working earlier with another good friend coin, or how would you say that? Friend of both.
And the first story that comes to mind is when Mike got his first bull elk. When he bought that breed bull, and he had a little spot by his house up there, a little 5-acre pen. He had 4 or 5 cows, and he bought this elk, and we named him Bullwinkle. And this sucker was a 300-inch 6x6. He was a man, and that was by far the meanest animal I have ever been around in my life. And y'all think you've been around a mean cow? Yeah.
Don't touch.
This thing would kill you. This adventure starts with getting a phone call one afternoon, and Mike calls and says, "Where you at?" Anytime that happened, it's kind of like my daddy calling. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Yeah. You're on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Come this way. I jump in the truck and I drive up to pull in the driveway, and I look down across that pasture, and Bullwinkle. We all three know what a bull panel is.
Mm-hmm.
Big as a pencil wire, 12, 14 foot long. Well, he had some of those across that pen when he had some other things, some goats or sheep or something. And Bullwinkle had decided he wanted to get in a fight with that bull panel. So he gets it and he rolls it, and he's fighting with it on the ground. And now he has that wasp nest.
Oh, my goodness.
Up in his
more
antlers.
Points added to his rack.
And one piece of that comes down. Now, Mike's done give several $1,000s for this herd.
Yeah, that ain't a...
But this thing has a piece of wire, and it's down here in his eye. Oh. It's like right there. So Mike says...
Did he say, what are we going to do? Or did he already have a plan?
He had a plan. He said, hadn't you got a buddy that's has some deer that's got a dart gun? Because Mike didn't own one at the time. Shortly thereafter, he did.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yes, I do. He said, do you think he'd let us borrow it? I said, I know he will. He said, well, I'm going to Aniana to see Dr. Coe and get some tranquilizer and darts. You call Ricky and go get the dart gun. So we ready, set, break, off we go. I grab Logan in the back of the truck. We drive to Pinson, get the dart gun. I may or may not have paid attention on how he said to use it and set it, because it was one of the good ones that took a 22 blank. I go down, that elk's 15 yards. I put it right on his hip and I squeeze the trigger. And undoubtedly she was a little hot. It buried up to the bone.
Oh.
But we hit it.
Yeah.
Connected.
That stupid thing started going crazy, and it's flip-flopping and jumping around, whatever. So that was mistake number one. So anyway, the thing finally lays down on the ground, whatever, and it looks like it's down asleep, whatever. And I said, why are we waiting? I mean, it's laying there. And all we were going to do is saw the horns off this bull elk. Okay, first of all, we have no clue what it takes to saw the horns off a bull elk. What kind of saw do you use? So we he had a garage full of tools. We grabbed a reciprocating saw.
Oh, man.
We had a handsaw, just regular wood handsaw, and we had a miter box saw. So if you ever need to know, take the miter box saw. Very fine tooth, what you're looking for, because the other two didn't work.
They didn't cut it.
So we get the miter box saw. We get out there. So we get out and we lay the towel over the elk's eyes because it's down. And then Mike sits down on his neck. That's just, something big like that, a horse or whatever. It's kind of the way you do it. Cover their eyes up, sit on your neck. And of course, he give it to the saw to me and go to sawing. And I go to saw, everything goes well. Get the first side undone. Pick him up. We start sawing on the second side. And now look, we ain't been out there with this elk 5-10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And as Mike's sitting on his neck, I see that elk's front leg go.
Looking.
It's as simple as it was. It just went like that. I'm like, okay. I said, Mike, this thing's moving. It's out. Don't worry about it. Keep sawing.
As cool as a cucumber.
It takes a while, with that miter box fine tooth, and if this thing's this big, right? So I'm sawing, and I'm getting out of breath, have to stop and rest, and I'm sitting there, and I see that leg move again. I'm new to the process.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we go saw, and I get through the other one. And of course, we got this bull panel, and the horns are all tied up in it. And we got tools and stuff laying there. And so I'm trying to gather stuff up. And Mike eases up off the elk's neck. And when he pulls that towel off the eyes,
It's daylight.
That sucker stood up and was looking at us.
Oh, man.
Now, I don't know what Mike Jones did, but I run for the gate. And I was faster than him out the gate.
Friendship was on the line.
So we get out there and we're having a big hee-haw about this. He just loves stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're having a big hee-haw about this, and he's laughing, whatever. And I kept, what's so funny? He said, I just remembered something. I said, what's that? And we're putting tools up. And I said, what's that? He says, Dr. Cole told me to give them a cc and a half, shoot them and get them down. And then once you get them down, go up and give him another cc and a half to keep him down.
Oh,
we skipped that second.
Skip step 2.
Anyway, nobody hurt.
No harm, no
man.
Everything turned out fine.
Was he smoking a Winston when y'all got outside that gate?
Smoked like a chimney.
Guaranteed, boy.
Smoked like a chimney.
Yeah. Smoke them if you got them.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Mike Jones.
I loved him.
Man. He's a good one.
They ain't never been nobody no better. I tell you, I miss him every day.
I actually witnessed your brother riding a wild 8-point buck through the woods. I remember I was there and seen it. That was a pretty interesting thing. He shot it. He thought he had it down until it come. He fell in one of those big washes. What it was, erosion. And so he jumps on it. And I think what he was doing, he grabbed his horn to admire this nice rack, and it was like all I heard him going through the woods. Somebody shoot him! Somebody shoot him! While he's riding.
Only thing that was hitting on the ground was his.
He was going over the hill. I mean, it was not a pretty scene.
He didn't want to lose it.
No,
He got this far.
You know what was funny after he killed it? I mean, that was on the morning hunt. He killed it, and he was like, "Man, him rode down there together." By the way, and he said, I've got to go show this thing off. He tied it out on the front of his hood, just the head, and rode it. You wouldn't do that this day and time.
So he did finally get it down.
Oh, it finally went back down. But
he's holding on both horns.
He kind of had it in shot. Oh, yeah, for his life.
I bet.
I bet
that was a wild ride.
It was a wild.
Are you in trouble? Well, we hope you're not. But just in case you are, we know a good lawyer. Whitney Island here in Hayden, Alabama has law services. Or maybe if you're not from Hayden, I'm sure she'd be happy to hear from you. So check her out at islandlaw.com. We appreciate Whitney and her sponsoring the show.
My daddy got this motor probably through some kind of horse trade. I remember it was a 40 horsepower Johnson engine. And we already had this 16-foot V-bottom aluminum boat. So it was on this little pond down there we raised catfish in. And so my brother, I guess, I couldn't have picked the motor up, not at that age. So I guess my brother put this on there. And I just kind of walked up on it. I didn't even realize it was on that boat. But I do remember this. They had to put a bunch of concrete blocks in the front of it where it was just trying to sink in the back. So they counterbalanced this thing. And so I just kind of come up on it. I thought, wow, look at this. So I fired this thing up. Back then, you had to plug your gas tank into them. And so I played with it that evening. This is prior to them guys coming out to move this antenna. And it was quite fun because what I found out was, man, you could shire that on that thing, and that thing would just like pop a wheelie. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I'm telling you, I liked it. That's stuff like that intrigued me. So I go around this pond, and I let off that throttle, and I danced that thing. Wow. I thought, man, this is fun. So it was so fun, and we had so little to do back then. That kind of went to bed with me. I slept on that all night. So the next morning, these guys show up here to move this antenna. And so, it's pretty big, and they got to let it down. So I guess there was 6 or 8 of them up there on that hill. Well, when I got up, I went back out there to that boat, and there they all up there. Now, in their mind, they was come to take that antenna down.
They was working.
In my mind, they come to watch me perform in this boat, this lake down there. This is what was on my mind.
I had a show
to
put on.
I needed an audience, and I had them. So they heard that old big motor fire up down there. So all of a sudden, their attention does. Now, like again, I was thinking, they're thinking, wow, this kid is really fixing to show us something. But what they're really thinking is, this is probably not going to end too good.
This boy finna bury this boat.
So I get there, fire that thing up, and they stop taking down the antenna because they seen that thing rearing up. And this is a small pond, so I'm basically doing circles, But I'm, wow, that thing popped. Well, I heard a couple, woo,
cheering you on a little bit.
That's all I needed to hear. So I shocked it to it. You know, and since then I've seen videos of people doing crazy stuff like this, but that thing almost come over backwards. I let off, but I made it. So I thought, well, let's do that one more time.
Close enough.
Well, the second time I did it, I looked back at the boat because something didn't sound right, and the boat was up on its side, kind of. And I looked, and those motors, you know how they had 2 clamps. One of them came loose.
Oh,
so
no.
I remember going into the panic mode. I mean, I seen the death angels flash across the screen.
You panic, you die,
and so
Daryl.
instead of letting off, I opened it wide
Stay in
open.
her.
Well, it come off of that boat. I remember that gas tank and hose coming by. I mean, I snatched that gas tank. I was going to throw it back in the boat because I didn't want everything to be a total loss. So, but I came out of the boat. So here's this motor running wide open, kind of laid over on its side. And it's going around, and it was barely missing me every time it come by.
Goodness
I mean, this is violent.
gracious.
And so it went underwater running. And I watched it. It looked like you ever seen a ringworm? It was just, you could see it going. You could see it going out of sight. This pond was deep. And of course, I done clicked over the mode. I'm fixing to get my butt beat. Daddy's not going to be happy about this motor.
Yeah,
He's
I'm in
horse
trouble
trading.
now.
So, anyway, it's all over. Them guys, man, they're having a time of life.
I
I
bet
left
they
memories
were
with them guys up there
cackling.
too in that antenna that they'll never forget because I would have liked to have seen it myself. I didn't want to be one of the movie stars in this film here I was creating. But anyway, so it kind of had a happy ending. I went to school with the boy, and I just happen to remember he was taking scuba dive lessons. So they go down and find this motor and on boat and tie a rope. We pulled it back on there. And
How old were you at this time?
I'm going to give myself 14, 13, old enough
just
to know
right.
better.
Yeah.
And
Too young to care.
Yeah.
no, well, we didn't see that. You probably that say we didn't see danger. I mean, actually, the things that was dangerous was the most fun. So you know that's.
I like how you put that, though. You said, I went to bed with it, and they were there watching. And in your mind,
Oh, I felt
They
like
was there
they
to
was there.
see you.
Yeah, they came down there.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
had an
tell it was
audience.
just a bonus thing.
Well, you're talking about that pond. I want to take just a second and celebrate Mark Shatley. I know you're watching this week. A fan of the show, but he also makes
the
some
truth.
pretty awesome fishing lures called The Truth. He pours them himself, does his own
Look
colors
good.
and everything. He's out of Camden, Arkansas, and so Mark Shatley, man, I wanted to just let you know if you guys are looking for a good, it's almost like a fluke. We took him to the river the other day and
You were out
Yeah.
spotted bass on them.
caught the spotted bass on them. So it's a good lure, but more than anything, we just appreciate Mark supporting the show, reaching out.
Daryl would have had a pack of the truth in that boat instead of a.
Oh,
Yeah, if you've been fishing instead of trying
Actually,
to
I
blow the
thought
motor
there's
up.
gummy worms. I still ate one a while ago.
Yeah,
They look that good.
They do
Hey,
look
look good
good.
enough. Daryl have a bite.
they ain't got a hook in them.
Yeah, I know. It's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah,
What do we got?
that bass didn't think there's a hook in it either.
here? Tricked him.
Yeah.
If you're in the market for a new house, I want to tell you about our latest sponsor, Vantage Plus. So they're general contractors. They specialize in new home construction, but also they do some dirt moving work. So clearing land, making roads. Y'all check them out. We'll make sure that we link the website and the phone number in the show notes.
This is the call I get. It was dark 30,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wait
I
a
get
minute,
it.
are you talking about?
I'm talking about the 380 you got stuck in the church pit.
Okay, here we go. I could go in on this one.
At the
I
church pit.
wasn't going there, but you brought it up, so I'm gonna tell it.
Now
on
this
there.
machine weighs what? 50,000?
80 no,
80,000.
86,000 pounds.
Hey.
And
80,000
I'm
pounds.
going to tell you sometime in the story, I'm going to give you some flyers on this.
I know.
Yeah. So you just go finish.
So Daryl
Just go right ahead.
I was thankful.
Daryl calls me and he tells me what's happened, whatever. And I said, Daryl, just hold what you got and call certain record company. I'm not gonna give them a shout out.
Yeah, you go.
These people have worked with us. They know what they're doing. I said, call these guys in the morning, let them come look at it, let them tell you what it's going to take to pull it out. So
Yeah. So what made me sweat was I seen the decal, the numbers on these things. And I looked down there, I thought, there's not as many of them numbers that's sticking out as there was. I thought, this thing's sinking. So then I freaked out because I trust him. I do. He's a good guy. He'll tell you just like it is. I said, Scotty, I'm
She's going down,
really
Scotty.
concerned. I said, what I need to do. And that's when he told me, he said, look, I don't know what's going to cost you. It may cost you $25,000, but you're not going to lose
I've
this.
seen it.
You're not going to lose whatever this costs to replace this.
Whatever this
size
$100,000
track
piece of
$500,000,
equipment is.
whatever it is, you're not going to lose it. I thought, well, you know what? I can weigh that out. I'm going to call him. So I called this guy. And he said, I told him what the situation I had. He said, look, we're going to send a guy up here and evaluate what it's going to take to get it out, which is what he told me. They may send 2 or 3 wreckers. So anyway, I called him like 9 o'clock, and I was starting to get a little upset because they hadn't responded. I thought, man, this thing, the stack's
she's going down, buddy.
So about 1 o'clock, and I was angry at that point. This guy calls me. He said, hey, where are you at? I said, where are you at? He said, well, I'm down here right in front of the sheriff's department. I said, oh, well, just come up on top of the hill here, turn to the left. He said, look, buddy, he said, this is $1 million wrecker.
Yeah,
he said, we're not bringing this thing till I see where we're going. So I come in here, and I came up there, and he looked at it. He said, oh, this is fine. I had it all baited up. He said, yeah, I'll be right. So I came back. He banks a wrecker. But anyway, so he backs this thing in. He runs these big outriggers down in the ground, and here's this cable pulling out. And so I'm just trying to be of assistance. I said, do you want me to get on this track hole down here when you hook up to it and help walk this thing out? He said, I don't care whether you get on it or not. He said, I'm fixing to drag it out. In my mind, I thought, here we have 20 hours trying to pull this thing out. Okay, buddy. This I got to say. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of way it went. So he hooks on this thing, and I didn't go get on it. He hooked it up to the H-frame on this thing, too big. And this thing's pulling real slow, but you can tell tremendous amount of fire.
Cranking.
Next thing I know.
How many times did he part the line?
Huh?
How many times did he part the line? 3 or 4?
Part the line?
Yeah, like through pulleys.
I don't remember.
Several.
He's using some mechanical
advantage. It only took him about 8 minutes.
Several.
It was just like he said, and it was simply because it would be like catching a 10-pound bass on 70-pound test. It's like, okay, here it goes. You're not. I see some guys do this one day. So anyway, he pulls it on top of the hill, and I'm nervous. I thought, wow, it's going to be some expensive 8 minutes. So, when he got out, I was really happy. I was really thankful. So I tell you what I did. This guy said, look, here's you a $200 bill. I said, here's you a couple $100 bills. He said, wow, man. He said, I ain't never had nobody give me no tip like that. I said, you ain't seen nobody this thankful before. So I did. So he said, well, let me go there and clean my truck, and I'll write you up a bill and everything. And these guys really nice. For this, I recommend them for sure. So he goes down there and he cleaned his truck up. And I'm telling you, this truck is nice. I don't know if you've seen it. This thing was in the world of wheels. I mean, you can Google it, come up. It was really
have a lot of them.
Beautiful thing. So I was surprised they even sent it, but they said they only send it out about 75 miles because the gas consumption is horrible. I think this thing had tandems on the front. But anyway, enough to describing that. But so I get down there, gets everything put up. So he gets his little pad out, and he said, who did I build this to? I said, oh, it's mine. I got it stuck. I'm going to eat it. That's what he said. Really? He said, this is not a company. I said, no, I'm going to have to eat it. He said, throw that pad down. He said, you got $900. I thought, you better believe I do. I mean, I paid that guy off right then. I've never been so happy in all my life.
That's a cheap record bill.
He called me and told me that story and how it turned out. And I went, see?
That's
what happens?
That's why you should have called him first.
Yeah.
Buying or selling a home should be an exciting and enjoyable time. One thing can position you for the best outcome, and that is experience. The team at White Real Estate has many years of experience in helping their clients maximize their sales and secure the properties and homes of their dreams. Give Darren and Rhiannon White, Caden White, or Ryan Love a call today and begin your journey on a pleasurable buying or selling experience.
I think I called you the day that I burnt my skid steer down. We were tearing a house down. Well, it was some old lumber that piled up. Somebody had tore a house down, and we were just stacking it up and burning the lumber. And we had dug a pit, and I had a short somewhere. Well, my little girl was with me that day. I had set her in the bottom of the skid steer, windows closed, and we're just working. Well, I had got off the machine, and Josh had picked up running it. And he went and got a grapple bucket full of lumber and was going to dump it in the fire. Well, his fire had gotten going pretty good. And when he dumped it over in the fire, when his bucket went down like that, it just stopped. Ooh. And it's rolling.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's rolling. And it's starting to get bigger and bigger. And he's yelling at me out the window. He said, your skid steer won't move. Your skid steer won't move. I said, get out of the machine. I don't just get out. Like, you can't make it move. You got to get out. Yeah. And I'm getting a little bit nervous because it's starting to lap like lap up over the bucket, into the cab. And so I'm watching it.
Goodbye.
I just pick up the phone and I called my insurance agent. And I said, Ben, do I have insurance on my machine? Oh yeah. I said, you're certain I've got insurance on my machine? Oh yeah. Everything's fine. I said, I'm paid up, everything. And I'm just watching it. It's getting higher and higher. Well, Randy Fallon was with me. He was on the excavator. Well, he's across the job. Well, he's tracking over there, on excavator speed, just slowly but surely.
Half a mile an
And
hour.
and I'm just watching
a lot
it.
Slower when it's burning.
High gear's 3 miles an hour.
3 miles an hour from across the job. Here he comes. So I'm on the phone with Ben. I said, okay. I said, I want you to check right now. He said, man, I'm telling you, we just went through this. And I said, okay. Well, my next phone call was Scotty. And I said, hey, Scotty, hey, what's going on? And I said, well, I'm watching my skid steer burn down right now. But I'd like to know you got another one. Cause we got work lined up. And he said, you're doing what? And I said, I'm watching my skid steer burn. He said, I don't think I understand what I said. Well, I just want to know you got another one. Yeah, we got one if you need to rent or whatever. I said, okay, well, let me handle this and I'll call you back. So here comes Randy. He finally gets over there and he grabs the front bucket with the other bucket and he just spins it around. Well, when he does, when he grabs my bucket, the gravel bucket, he busts a hydraulic hose.
That means now we have an oil-fed
Now
fire.
we have not only a rubber fire.
Meant to be.
Man, well, it starts smoking the smoke, or the oil starts going. And he pulls it, drags it to him. And I'm looking at him. He's like, what? And I said, why did you do that? And he said, I didn't want it to burn up. I said, well, I just got on the phone with my insurance agent. He said it was covered, so I wasn't going to risk my life getting up there after it. He said, well, I got it out. Well, it's still burning, He said, well, it might not help any. And it's burning. Well, fortunately, it stopped spraying oil, and all it did was singe the tracks. The tracks were on fire, and that was it. So it just put itself out.
Oh, man.
And I thought, so we just sat there and I thought, what in the world? But the lesson was, and Randy said this, he said, I'm so thankful that you and your little girl had gotten out of that machine.
Absolutely.
That was a bad day.
Just for the record, so clear this up and I can get this thought out of my head. When you talk to that insurance company guy, if he would have said, no, you don't have insurance, I need to buy some now. Was you going to say, was that what you was about? Because that's where I thought you was going.
No, I knew I did. But when insurance, you can't ever be too safe.
It's summertime. The days are heating up and the grass is growing. You don't want to spend all that time out there in your yard cutting grass, so won't you go on down to West Blunt Lawn and Tractor and see Amy and let her put you on a brand new commercial Husqvarna or Exmark lawnmower. Beyond commercial lawnmowers, she has implements such as weed eaters, chainsaws, leaf blowers, and more. Parts, service, right here in Hayden, Alabama. Located right on 160. Stop in there and see Amy today and learn how she can help you to get to enjoy more of your summer right now.
This takes me back in time to probably 10, 11 years old maybe. So we was looking for our next memory maker. And H&S Garage was out right on the side of 160. So, it was about a mile walk to the house. But we frequently went out there and dig through those scrap. And we found a little treasure out there one day. And I didn't even know they made them. Here was a Harley Davidson motorcycle. A dirt bike. Didn't know they made a dirt bike. So, didn't have a motor on it. So, we push it back. And in our mind, we was thinking about engineering. Maybe some way we could mount a chainsaw engine on it. Because there's two things Daddy didn't allow us to do. Number one, he said he wouldn't allow us to have a motorcycle. We never could have a motorcycle because he knew we'd kill ourselves. And then he said, there's no ride on the road with a bicycle. We had bicycles, but, we had the ball field above us. We had places to ride a bicycle without getting on the road. But we knew better, and he had instilled fear in our lives. So we didn't second question. But we caught him gone a lot. So we'd go over we get over the property line a little bit here. So anyway, we envisioned all this wonderful things happen. So there was 4 of us pushed this Harley Davidson. We couldn't wait. I mean, immediately we pushed this thing a mile up the mountain, all the way up. This is probably a 7% grade, if you know how to relate to that. And we all pile on this thing. There are 4 of us on this little thing. I remember one of them, he was sitting on the handlebars with his feet tucked together on the fender. So he had his little, I was slid up on the tank. Had everybody's life in my hands. I was the driver. Mm-hmm. So I was slid up on this fuel tank, and one behind me, and one was literally sitting on the back fender with his feet spread out like this.
That's wanting to ride bad.
Yeah. So we get on this thing. Here we go. No power, no motor. So we get to rolling out there. And man, this is the most fun I've had in a while. Now you talking about some yeehaws and yippies going on. Them boys was tickled to death. So I remember the first thing I noticed about this thing, and I just fell in love with immediately. The speedometer worked. I've never seen nothing with a speedometer. A little round thing sitting on the counter. And it evidently worked off one of the tires. It certainly wasn't the motor.
Round and around.
So we get to going out there, and I've got something to report to all this gang riding.
5 miles per hour.
We're running. Yeah, I think I started out like 20. This thing's up to 20 miles an hour here. And then we get on further down the mountain. I said, boys, 40 miles an hour. We're scooting now. And you're talking about little kids. And that's a bunch of pretty, not rough, I don't want to use that term, but pretty brave little kids, you know. And so we're going down that mountain, and this thing gets up to about 55. And I'm the old Britt Colwell's house, and I think, this thing's starting to feel a little unstable. I'm going to slow it down. Well, I just found out something extremely important that I didn't check and I didn't know. It didn't have any brakes.
No brakes.
None. 2 levers.
No brakes.
It was just like this broken.
Fred Flintstone brakes.
So I remember, and this whole trip was kind of like in slow motion, you know, when something bad's fixing to happen. You're like, so I said, look, there's no point in letting them rest of these boys. They're having a good time right now in on this deal that we
let's not ruin their fun.
So I didn't, and I didn't want to panic because I'd have people trying to reach and grab the steering wheel, and
Daryl's going with you panic, you die.
So we get down, and I guess we're over the hill, and this thing is really there. Finally, something come up across their screen. Mayday, there's something wrong here.
We're going fast.
One of them says, "Slow it down," and I thought I got to tell them. We don't have any brakes. But my plan, I got my plan.
You had time to make a plan.
Yeah, I did. And my plan was, there was not a happy ending here. So I thought, well, when we get down to Revis Hagerig's yard, he's got a nice grove. I'm going to just cut over that yard and lay it down and kind of scatter everybody out nicely across this grass. Probably some 3rd-degree grass burn. But maybe
that's the worst thing.
Nothing like hitting that raw pavement out there. So you went from all these yippies and all this stuff it sounded like a bunch of little girls screaming on a roller coaster,
on a runaway train.
Yeah, I mean they was going, and then it broke off into a little deeper thing. Like they started to see their lives like a gnashing of teeth and wailing going on.
You should have told me.
It's like, oh my God,
this is your fault, Daryl.
Yeah. So it gets down to the point it's all got to happen. So I remember cutting over that thing and laying down, and I seen these bodies fly through the air, end over end. And guess where the bike goes? Down into 160. And
somebody's got it.
Man.
So I thought, well, when that truck, I thought I may be okay because I didn't really know what condition I was in because I'd been in some pretty bad accidents. But I seen I had some pretty good cuts and stuff, and I didn't get to evaluate blood or anything at the time. So this guy stops. And he was a younger guy, and probably if it had been some older guy, he would have come out there. But he seemed was all starting to move and get up, you know. It looked like a plane crash. I mean, there's literally motorcycle bodies scattered down through there. One of them went plumb over the ditch. You could see where the grass was mashed down going through. I thought one of them went right through there. So but we all pulled ourselves together, and there was some blood and everything. But this guy, he evaluated. He just decided to go on. So that kind of saved me because I'm thinking this is how Daddy's going to find out. You know, if I can put enough. You know, if I can cover, I ain't got no bad cuts where I gotta have stitches. You know, I'm gonna get it back.
Daddy ain't gonna. Did Daddy never know?
He did find out about it a little later on. He did,
but it was too late to really do any.
I think it got me past the whooping stage.
You know, one of my childhood memories is my dad telling me this is what I learned, and I've carried this through adulthood. And Daryl, you probably could have learned a lot from this. Is my dad would say,
I'm sure.
He would say, ask yourself this question. Is this stupid? If the answer is yes, don't do it. But you know how many times I would say, yes, but. how much fun are we going to have?
Yeah, but
right?
those bad things happen to other people. That's the way I say it. I think that's fun. Did you not have something there where you think, this is good?
This ain't going to happen.
I don't know if anybody.
This would be stupid for someone else to do, not for me
Didn't
to
you do things that you wouldn't see the danger end of it? I mean, sure. I know
you got to be looking for it to see it.
Yeah.
Daddy farmed all over the county, and we had farms from all the way from Mr. Marsh's over here where Boogie Bottoms is, all the way to Bluntsville. And so we drove tractors everywhere, 11, 12 years old, driving somewhere on tractor. But we had Miss Adams Bottoms, Opal Adams Bottoms over there. Yeah. And tractor had to be brought to Sugar Creek. Mm-hmm. Daddy had a 12.5-foot disc and a big old drag that was about 12, 14 foot wide. And I was a young fella, and this was my first time to drive the big tractor. And Daddy had something to do. So he sends me on the tractor, whatever. And I thought I was somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm getting to drive the big tractor. And I get on that thing and I throw the coal to it and I start and go the way that he tells me to, whatever. And finally, I come across Skyball. And come down by the feed mill, turn on 160. It's about that time, Daddy comes flying up behind me. And so I pulled in, I think it was W.C. Green had the feed store there then. Yeah. Mr. Carter Builder may have been alive. But anyway, I pulled in there and got off. And boy, I could tell when he got out of the truck, he's mad. He comes up. What in the heck are you doing? Do you not pay attention? And he's just blessed me out. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking
What's
about.
Going on?
He said, I've counted 7 mailboxes you've tore down between here. So you know what we did the rest of the day? We went to Ace Hardware in Aniana and we bought every mailbox that they had.
It's a federal offense.
And dang right it was. But what was worse was it was a PC offense too, because I got my
guys going like this and never checking that disc.
I was just wanting somebody to see where I could wave at them. That's
Look at me.
That's exactly what happened.
You remember back in the day. Now I don't even think there's a Sugar Creek. I think the termite took down the last Sugar Creek sign. But back in the day when I was a kid, Sugar Creek was kind of a booming little place, But anyway, we caught the bus out there, and there's 4 or 5 of us would catch a bus, and if it was cold or anything, we'd just stay inside the laundromat there. And, of course, it was a row of them big industrial dryers and washers and everything. And one of them says, got that in? He said, hey, if you'll get in that dryer and let us drop a quarter in there, we'll buy you a Pepsi. Well, Pepsi Cola was pretty doggone important at the time. And I thought, yeah.
That ain't nothing to me.
No, and I thought, well, this is going to be fun. So I kind of backed in there like a crawfish. And I liked it because you looked at this round glass. You can see all these faces.
Everybody staring at you.
I felt like Spider-Man. I was holding on to it. Had these fins like on the traditional. So I was backed in there hanging on to them fins. And it was like my last goodbye. I seen that arm go up with that coin.
Here it goes.
He dropped it in that slot. And let me tell you something. They don't start off like a vehicle, start shifting gears and getting faster. It wide open. I hung on to that hairdryer. Not only did I get hot in there, but till my brain quit sending signals to my arms and telling me to hang on. I went to tumbling, and they did. They made the best effort they could to get the door open. But and they did. But
the best effort. Oh, we're trying to get you out, Daryl.
It like to beat me to death. Those fins was hitting me in the shoulders and the back and the head.
Face.
It looked like I'd been into it with Mike Tyson. It beat the snot out of me.
Not a good decision.
But yeah, and after they get me out, and this is a real short story, I forgot to get that Pepsi.
You didn't even get the Pepsi.
Oh, never got it.
To redeem it. Man, I was hurting too bad. That was a nasty little thing. Those washers was big. I wanted to get it and stand up, but I was not little enough, I guess. So I just kind of sat down there.
Well, Scotty and Daryl, you have shared some real tellers today. That'll help you. In case somebody was wondering about driving a track hoe in the middle of a pond. How would that go? Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Unless you have a biker guy that can help you out at a good price.
True. That's true.
You got that guy, you can help you. But man, I appreciate y'all coming on the show today. Shane and I
enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Shenanigans, boy.
A little embarrassing, the fact that people know you do stuff like this, but it is what it is.
We'll live to tell about it.
Well, we appreciate your humility.
Memories.
Yeah.
Memories.
Yeah, it did make some memories.
Well, I appreciate you sharing the memories with us. I appreciate you sharing the memories with them.
Very much.
So, but that's it for the Hayden Alabama podcast today. I'm Philip.
I'm Shane.
I'm Daryl.
I'm Scotty.
We'll see you next week.